Good morning, Dash 3s. So today's lesson is on circle graphs. So again, as we always start off, we start off with our math on the job, which is in your textbook on page 98. I've skipped a lot of it, and basically what it comes down to is Benici Foods Co-op sells different brands of the same type of product. If a product seems to be selling poorly, Trina can compare the popularity of that product to others by making a circle graph. And then from there, they can determine whether or not they should stop bringing that product in. So the co-op sells specialty jam made from Manitoba fruit as well as some common commercial brands. Shown is a circle graph based on 12 months of sales, and it displays the jam sold by brand and is based on the number of jars sold. So what percentage of the sales comes from Wild Products? So if I look here down the side at my legend, Wild Products is that gold color, which is 24%. Which brand is the least popular? So if I look at my circle graph, the smallest wedge is 2%. It's this minty green color, which was Shannon Foods. So chances are Trina would probably look at this and maybe stop bringing in Shannon Foods and possibly even stop bringing in the triple fruit and the green orchard just because they only amount to 10% of her sales. So she might just get rid of those products and that 10% would probably be redistributed. Why do you think data is displayed on a circle graph, and then what are some advantages? So the thing to remember, if I'm displaying something at a circle graph, first of all, it has to be a common item, and it has to be almost part of a whole. So this is all of the sales of my fruit jams. So I take all of the sales and then I divide them up by the brands. And this circle graph gives me a very good indication right away as to whether or not there's any big chunks or small chunks that would help me draw conclusions. These small slivers that are telling me maybe I don't want to carry those brands. These two larger circles that are telling me Big River and Wild Products are very close together. And then I can investigate. Are there reasons why we're only selling 2% of this jam? Is it because it doesn't taste very good, or is it because it's too expensive? If it's too expensive, that could be why I'm not selling a lot of it. So circle graphs. A circle graph is a visual representation of how a whole is divided. Sectors of the graph represent the percentage of each aspect of the data being considered. A circle graph may provide a very good visual representation of a set of data because the slices vary visibly compared to the whole. I can look at it and very quickly see which section is bigger than the other sections. It's also less likely that you can misrepresent the data. Remember with our bar graphs, I could misrepresent the data by spacing them out differently, making the bars fatter or skinnier, or changing my scale along the side, which could make it look different than how the actual results are. There are computer programs, that's what the automated aids means. There's computer programs that we can use to draw circle graphs, but it is important that you know how to draw a circle graph by hand. So in order to do that, you will need a protractor and a compass. If you don't have any, you can ask and I will give them to you. First thing that I want you to do is I want you to take out a piece of paper so you can write some of your notes down. And you're going to write in the vocab term, which is at the top of page 99 of a circle graph. So visual representation of data made by dividing a circle into sectors that each represent parts of a whole. So you can pause, write that down, and then when you're ready to proceed into the next example, we will look at it together. So example number 1 is Aurelia has kept track of the amount of time she spends on different activities throughout the day and has recorded it on the following table. Display the information on a circle graph. So she sleeps, she goes to school, she has a part-time job, sometimes she does homework, meals, relaxation, and then travel. So if I have to put this on a circle graph, there is math calculations that have to be done. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to convert all of these into percentages, the percentage of the day spent. So to do my percentages, the first thing that I would have to do is I would have to add these together to find out what my total is. 7 and 7 is 14. Another 4, that gives me 18, 19, 20, 23, and 24, because, well, there's 24 hours in a day. So now I convert all of these into percentages. So 7 divided by 24 times 100. So 7 divided by 24 times 100. If I do that calculation on my calculator, pause this and do the calculation yourself. Round it to the nearest whole percentage, and I get 29%. 7 hours will be the same. Now I have 4 hours. 4 divided by 24 times 100, 17%. So now I want you to press pause and I want you to calculate the percentages for the last 4 categories. When you've done it, you can press play again, and then I will write them in for you. So if I was to add these percentages up together, 29 and 29 is 58, 68, 75, 81, 89, 99%. It's not 100%. Why? Because all these numbers were rounded. As long as I'm close to being 100%, I'm not going to be nitpicky if you're off by 1, but it has to do with the rounding aspect. Okay? The one thing, or the other thing that I could look at is if I'm at 99%, could I change one of these values? Was there something that I could have maybe rounded up? And that was the meals. This 8% was like 8.4 something, very close to being able to round it up. So I could make that 9%, and then everything would actually be rounded, or everything would then equal 100%. So this gives me my percentages. This basically tells me that 29% of my circle is going to be sleep, 29% of my circle is going to be school, and so on. So now the next step will be to put in what this will be on my circle graph. So the things that I need to remember about my circle graph is a circle has a total of 360 degrees. Oh, not percent. So the sum of the angles, or the degrees in a circle, is 360 degrees. Of that 360 degrees, 29% of that belongs to sleep. So to determine what that would be in terms of my degrees, what I would do is I would take 360 and multiply it by that 0.29, converting my percentage to a decimal. And when I do that, what do you get? 104 degrees, which means school would also be 104 degrees. So again, what I want you to do is press pause, and I want you to calculate how many degrees each of these sectors would then take up in my circle graph. Again, if I was to add these up, I get 208. These two together would give me 83, so now I'm at 291. And then I have another 54. So that gives me 345. and I'm at 359 degrees. So again, I'm almost at 360 degrees, but again, because I had to round these, I'm going to be slightly off in my calculations. So I could go back through and I could ask, was one of these a little bit closer to being rounded up than another? And if not, it'll still be fine when you go to draw your circle graph. So this part has to be done before I can start this circle graph. I cannot draw the circle without having these two things done. So now that that's done, I'm going to go into drawing my circle. So when I go to draw my circle, I need to have a center point. I'm a little bit luckier than you because I can actually draw the circle that way. But you're going to use your compass and you're going to draw a circle. Make your circle big enough that you're going to be actually able to manipulate it. Oh, maybe I should undo that. Start over. So I want my circle big enough that I'm going to be able to actually draw within it, but I don't want it too large because I want to be able to fit my protractor in it. So you want to be able to fit this protractor in it. When I drag my protractor down, when I'm trying to measure these segments, I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to. So now that you have your circle drawn, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take a ruler, or you can use the flat edge part of your protractor, and you're going to draw a line from the center to the outside edge. It doesn't matter which way you go. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be horizontal. It could be on the angle. It could be straight up and down. But that's going to be my starting point. Now, if you remember, the first measurement that we had, which was for sleep, was 104 degrees. So now I take my protractor, put it on that center mark, and I'm going to measure 104 degrees from the inside, because that's where my zero marker was. So 104 degrees puts me right, there we go, up there. So then I'm going to draw my line from that point to the center of my circle. In your case, you'll be able to make that a bit shorter. I'm just going to leave mine long because I don't want to mess up how many degrees. But this would be my first sector, and that would be my sleep sector. So then if I wanted to, I could color that in. Don't think it's going to let me color without. There we go. So I could color this sector in, and then if I color that sector in, I have to have a legend, and then that legend will tell me that this represents sleep. Now I have to do my next one, which is my school. So I'm going to stop this and we're going to go into the next part because I'm going to run out of time here.